start your presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Connecting to our first meeting, Charlotte, putting away my knitting and doing what we're here for. Yes, I actually had a presentation slide myself, so maybe I could.
I will stop sharing and you can show that. Yes.
It's basically the same picture. I realized the same clothes. Apparently, that is my favorite sweater. Yes. So my name is Johanna Kästel. I have the same educational background as Emma from Linköping University, studying Master of Science in Energy Environmental Engineering Technology. So coming from the technical side. Previously, I've also worked in short periods both at Linköping Science Park and the business incubator there. Last year, I was for a visit in Silicon Valley with Vinnova, who's the innovation agency in Sweden, and their office there. So I have this entrepreneurial interest and background as well. And then since 2 years back, I'm back at university at the same place, Linköping. Also the same division, the same teachers as I had before. And now I'm doing my PhD in a combination of circular economy and entrepreneurship, mainly looking at scaling strategies of circular business models, but also then what is interesting today, like this broader perspective of ecosystems, and how you can collaborate within the region to enhance these different kinds of values. Yes, so I'm from a little bit north of Sotenäs, but I spend a lot of time here too. So driving around in the rural areas of Sweden. I hope I will keep it quite concrete for you and not drift away in the what do you call it, abstract concepts. And hopefully it will be a little bit shorter than 30 minutes, so we will have plenty of time to discuss. But I think that I will talk about like these two concrete concepts of innovation ecosystem and how one can organize and the system boundaries, etc. around that. And then also going into a little bit more of the roles of hopefully you guys and how you can organize your work and collaborations within this. My research field is also focused on circular economy, so I think that is also maybe a little bit of a by effect, a side effect of this work that we can talk about a little bit on the end. And I also have some examples of good cases that I've met. So, and also just for transparency too, like this is not my research results, since I'm very new in the PhD process still, but more of the material that I've been using and cases that I've seen, so more of a trend analysis than my research. Yes, so eco-innovation system is the term that you are using. Sometimes we hear innovation systems. I often use the term entrepreneurial ecosystem, but I think the important part with these terms and frameworks, it's the system part, like what actors are you including? What geographic areas are you looking at? What's the aim and ambition with the project and the collaboration? So I often use this reference in the definition of entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I especially like the wording of actors and factors that collectively influence and shape the innovation, the project entrepreneurship within a specific region. So actors and factors, then it could be, I think this image is like visual of how complex that kind of system can be. So the nodes and the circles are, of course, the actors, the organization, the people, the companies that work within this system, and then the factors would be all the connections in between, and that could then be all kinds of activities and information, learning processes, and all kinds of activities that's going around, and resources too, like funding and people collaborating in different projects. This picture is the research result of one of my supervisors, and he talks a lot about ecosystems in different setting. And I think also what is important to take to bring from this picture and this discussion on entrepreneurial ecosystem is also the geographic area and the system boundaries. I will have some examples later on how you can organize this, but I think the most intuitive way is to create a system boundary around the region, and then collect all the actors within that region. You can also, of course, look at an industry and collect all the actors within an industry, etc. Or I don't know, around an incubator, around the university. So it depends on the ambition and the goal of the project, I would say. We can also see in this picture that some nodes, organizations are larger, visualized, and that would then be the more central actors. So in this research example, that would be the organizations such as the region or the municipality or the university, those that work more on a strategic level with regional development and the common goals and development for the coming years. And then in the peripheral actors, as we call them, the organization that then meet people, meet entrepreneurs or companies that would then act as the entrance towards the system. And a really important activity for those organizations are also then to translate these strategies into actions and concrete plans and activities on how to develop in the right direction. Yes, so I hope that makes sense. And then speaking about the actors, we can go into then what I call intermediaries. So that will be then all these actors within the system that has some kind of facilitating role. It could be to connect and coordinate like different projects, people, organization, and especially working a lot with knowledge exchange and meetings and value creation between different actors within the system. And I think that is also funny and important to bring up what Charlotte said in the beginning, like you meet people when you're least expecting to meet people, and maybe those meetings are leading to something better, something that you wouldn't have thought of when you facilitate these arenas where you're meeting people that you weren't supposed to or planning to. So for these actors, I choose to bring up like two strains of activities or clusters of activities that I also see in my own interviews and meeting with organizations that they very often bring up as both very important strategic activities that they are doing, but also a challenge. So how do they work more with these two things? So the first one is communication and education. I think this is an issue for everyone, all organizations, all the time, maybe to communicate to their different stakeholders, customers, whoever it might be, like what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, why it's important to work with these questions, maybe eco-innovation, circular economy, resilience, whatever it might be. It's very important to let your ecosystem and the other actors surrounding you, like knowing what you're doing and understanding why it's important. And then also the other aspect is then to facilitate these networks and these arenas for meeting new people and collaborations. And it could also be in the context of industrial symbiosis, of course, as you do in Sotenäs, and we see this in very many different places as well, especially around science parks and incubators, that you might create projects or arenas where you can connect an entrepreneur or small business owner with the big companies that might you need resources and you need innovation, for example, and you can create these meeting points. And also, of course, in that category, we also have the projects, maybe the educational programs, the incubator programs, the startup facilitation that works towards a special goal, then connecting these strategies within the region to the actual actions. And so I made a little bubble here of like questions. I guess I would often come back to what is important, like why are we doing this, for whom? And as we touched upon before, like what is our system boundary, who is included, who is not included, and why are we doing this? And so, yes, what's the goal? What's the strategy? And how do we get there? I think this is like, of course, very important to get to know your own organization and your ambitions before involving other actors as well. But also then about talking about like a regional perspective, and that also refers to circular economy that we talk about a little bit later, that this local knowledge is extremely important, both when you're trying to organize your ecosystem of actors, but also then for circularity, for resilience, to know what kind of resources do you got, what organizations and competences do you got in your region or in your ecosystem. Is there some special history that you would want to use and leverage? So I guess you're all more or less familiar with the concept of circular economy. We're talking about all the R's, and I feel that this list also goes on and on as these concepts develop. But the three first ones, reduce, reuse, recycle, I guess are the most prominent ones. And in relation to then the regional resilience, these are very interconnected to the local stability and the resourcefulness, and what resources do we have in our region, what can we use more, what competences are prominent, what is our challenges. Like all of these aspects of local knowledge is something that I very often like come back to as very important and also very interesting. How can you use what you've got to create more value? And also I've heard just the other day, I don't know if you heard about the new European Union talk the other day about using circular economy for military resilience, and using it was about metals, what do you call it? The scarce resources that we use in our technology. So, and they didn't mention at all the environmental effects of circular economy, but only using the resources that we got in Europe. So you can also use this as a trend analysis to leverage your own resources, and I think that's the key point. Yes, so some real case examples. I took these two as a first example. They are both initiatives from municipalities. The first one here, the Rundgång one, is from my home region of Värmland, and the town is called Karlstad, where they started as a project to just create more awareness about circular economy, especially within fashion and textiles. So they, for one season, half a year, I think, during summer when they have a lot of tourists and people around, they created this circular hub in the middle of the shopping center in town. And so when people came to do their purchases, they meet a circular shopping mall instead of the normal one, which creates awareness. And they also had a lot of events and remake talks and workshops, etc., around this. And a little bit same, the concept of Retuna. It's in a city called Eskilstuna, close to Stockholm. And that also started as the same concept of creating a circular hub in the existing business complex where most of the stores are. And both these projects was so successful and was receiving so much good comments from people in the towns that when the projects were finished, they searched for an entrepreneur, an organization that wanted to take this further. So both of these initiatives are now run all year round as a more stable organization. And also Rituna has also developed some courses. You can take educations in upcycling, recycling, especially around creativity from the materials that we already have. So I think that's very interesting in how you have taken this local municipality perspective of these questions. Then I was just yesterday, actually, I was in Borås outside of Gothenburg to attend a really cool event that it's called Arena Svensk Ull in Swedish. It translates to the Swedish Wool Initiative. And then this project has been going on for a couple of years, I think 3 or 4. And then they have gathered all the actors that are working with wool in different parts of the value chain. So both the producers or the sheep herders, farmers, and then all the way up to design and clothing manufacturing, etc. And so they're taking this industry perspective of how can we leverage this resource better? Because in Sweden, we're not producing wool for the wool, but it's seen as a byproduct for the meat production. So I think that's also really interesting, not only like seeing the different actors in the value chain as suppliers and demand, and but like bringing everyone together for this leveraging of this resource. So that's another system perspective that then spans over the whole country. And a last example that is more on the business side. Fabrikörerna is located outside of Gothenburg, and they are run as a cooperative, mainly started from a need of the founders saw that when during the immigrant wave around 2015, there was a lot of women coming to Sweden that had competences in sewing and textiles and that kind of competence, but they couldn't speak Swedish. And they didn't know about the Swedish market, so they needed a place to both create value and they wanted to try to sew products in Sweden. That is not done right now. Of course, everything is produced in Asia, or mostly. So they started this project where they wanted to try to have production of merch, especially for companies on recycled materials outside of Gothenburg. And at the same time, they then hire immigrant women mostly, and of course men and other people also. And at the same time, they will practice Swedish, they will have work experience, and they will produce cool products. So that's also a great example on how you can leverage these local resources and get both social and environmental effects out of that on a societal level, because of course these people will then be a better fit for their next job in Sweden. So yes, I think with that said, I hope this has made sense, and we can discuss.
Great, thank you, Johanna.
Yes.
I will talk a little bit later on like how we will work with this further on and how it fits in within SIRR and so on. But I would like to ask people to have questions for Johanna. And I think, yes, NL. Who is that? No picture. Whoever raised your hand, NL. Let's see. Nicole, please. We can't hear you.
Hey, good morning.
Good
I
morning.
have a problem with my camera, but I was just trying to provide a reaction and congratulations, Johanna, for your presentation. But no questions at this moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can just also then mention for the rest of you that me and Nicole are colleagues, so that's
Okay,
that's
great.
why she
So
knows.
she knows. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
right now we're
okay.
working on this case study
So
on
I don't have to be ashamed
ecosystem
that I
together.
didn't understand what the NL stood for.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Nicole.
Hello.
Welcome to our group. So do anybody want to have a question for Johanna? Otherwise, I will just start with a few reflections. Michael, please.
I was just kind of wondering, I think it was some interesting cases or examples that you showed us. Do you know anything about, maybe not all of them, but some of these examples, how were they met by the innovation system? Did they make good use of it, or did they primarily do this themselves? Because now, just to put it in a context, we maybe sometimes experience that the formalized innovation system is maybe not that well prepared for different business ideas, and especially those that maybe not primarily or first of all focus on profit, but also on saving the world or social innovation or whatever. Do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, that's really interesting that you bring up. That is definitely my my primarily thoughts about this too. That most, if you come to an incubator with an idea, for example, it's mainly focused on the profit. How do we make this profitable? And I think also it's interesting when I've been talking to entrepreneurs in this case about their scaling strategies. They, as you say, they also have this base value of creating some kind of societal change, and also very many brings up this challenge of measuring those values, because we still measure success in economics, right? And I guess that is also something that is hard for the support system in that case, that we are measuring success in money, and we need a better way to leverage other values. I'll just see what, right. So like exactly. So these projects are, I guess they are more of a regional project and not, I think the support systems in all of these projects are like engaged as an intermediary. At least I know in Arena Svensk Ull, we have Science Park Borås and Borås Inc. are the science park and incubators in the textile hub in Sweden, and they are more engaged in the project. So they are not really focused on supporting a company. Do you see the difference? So I think that is also, I've seen that more and more, that these actors might be involved in that sense, more of a facilitator, more like in the broader context of regional projects. And then there's the category of supporting specific companies, and then it's more focused on capital. But also these municipality projects are I think that they're also connected to the innovation system, as like they've been supporting with competence or financing, but more as a what do you call it, demonstrator of how to leverage innovation in a local context, I think. So yes, it's a very interesting point, but I also think that this project might have been a little bit broader than supporting the entrepreneur. You see the difference, yeah.
I see the difference.
Yes.
So in fact, we still have that problem with.
Yes, I would say so. It's very much still a problem. Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I, in no way, are like a norm of how the innovator actors work, but I think it's interesting that when me and Emma went to France the first time, I had to look up, and if I remember correctly, also Emma, we were like, social entrepreneurship, what is that really? What is that exact definition? And then we came home and we talked, and we were sort of inspired very much, and we talked to our like interreg, and they were like, no, that's not really what we're focusing on. And sort of realizing exactly what Michael and you, Johanna, are saying, that's not really what we support. It's more, I guess, innovation and technology, or maybe our background in Sweden with the technology based. But I'm very interested in understanding if are we moving a little bit more towards that in Sweden, or is it still not? Because those social entrepreneurship having another, because I almost feel like it doesn't have the same status, which is sad. So yeah, I have that reflection. Anybody else want to say anything connected to this, or any other question? Emma?
Yeah, I have another question, because this is like such an interesting topic, and thank you, Johanna, for your presentation. But back to a little bit connected to what Michael said before, and to put in the context of the project, I'm sure Charlotte will go or continue talking about this topic, but most of the pilot hubs in the project, or the partners here, they're located in rural areas, and maybe we don't have like a national, innovation actor, or, the innovation system close to us. So I was just thinking about if you have any good practices or cases, like how to get connected with them, and how they do it. Is it mostly about only facilitating and, talking a lot with them, or are they also contracted, or based on your research, do you have like some best cases, or examples about how others have done it?
Yes, yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I'm supposed to go more into the rural context later in my project, but we have a project with Dalarna Science Park that I think are the most rural context that I've come across so far. But yes, it's they are still very much focused on this facilitation, communication, like what can you do, how does it work, like more of a connection hub in that sense. I think the rural actors that I've been working with has more the approach than that the region that they're supporting is bigger. Of course, people will travel longer, etc. And maybe it's more, I get the feeling then that they are better at focusing on their local strength and what they have and what they can use and leverage, more than what you said before, Charlotte, that like some other innovation systems in Sweden are so extremely focused on technology, and that it has to be like new and cool and innovative in a way. Maybe the rural actors are more supporting all kinds of business in a way that hasn't that could be more social, could be more like small business owner, even if it's not like a startup that wants to go further. Yeah, but it's definitely something that should be looked into a little bit more, I find.
Thanks.
But also,
So-
Charlotte, on what you said before, I think about that maybe there's a little shift in focus, not towards social entrepreneurship. I think that has still some way to go in Sweden. I see that maybe more in other countries that is better supported. But most of the incubators in Sweden has some kind of admission criteria that you have to be have some environmental impact nowadays. So at least that has started to be woven in more in the factors and criteria so for acceptance in most of these programs. But still, you have to be profitable and have to have a viable company plan in that sense. So.
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Guillaume from France. Hi, Johanna. I
Hi.
jumped in quite late. I'm sorry, so I didn't get to hear your presentation. But just on the support from countries and social entrepreneurship, I'm from Brittany, and Brittany is, I think, one of the region in France, that's for sure, maybe in Europe, who pushes social entrepreneurship the most. And we do have a very big incubators just for social entrepreneurship here in Brittany. And the partners, we came for the partnership meeting in spring. So one example of it, it's called the Tournevis, which is on upcycling furniture, and it works very well. But it works very well because it is well supported by the municipality, by the department, by the region, and they are still struggling to make some money out of it. So, but that's not the point for the municipality. The municipality just wants to, as you said, raise awareness on recycling, upcycling, and we are still waiting from some national laws who could be implemented for municipality to buy products from this company, because of course the prices are very high for them. So just an example for the hub L'Arrobase we created, we bought some furniture from Le Tournevis, but we had to kind of sneak around to get to buy some stuff from them, because it's way too expensive if you follow the rule of the quotes and the competition. You cannot. So I think it should be somewhere maybe in 1 or 2 years, but it's very, very difficult. Since the Tournevis, I think now there are 11 people working for the Tournevis, started from scratch, and people, who are far from jobs, and it's doing very, very well. But I was talking to the owner, Fanny, the manager, and it's not easy to. She has to chase money every day, So that's a big problem.
Yeah, we really have a lot of similarities with the marine recycling centers, and I have been thinking a lot from our visit at your I don't remember the name of the shop, but I mean I would like to look at maybe doing a project just about that, because I think it's a lot of similar within the upcycling business are touching the similarities, and we are in the recycling plastic, but the market is not ready and so on. So it will be really interesting to have a talk about this. And I know in Ireland, they are also very interested in this, but that's another meeting.
Just to conclude on how to sell the products, because since Le Tournevis, Tournevis is a screwdriver in English. That's the name of the shop. They cannot sell products to citizens, to people, because it's an organization which is held by. They have to sell their products to enterprises or municipalities and stuff like that. So it's even tougher. So I think they can sell products to people twice a year. So,
Yeah,
they
I
make,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, they make a big opening, and they, but it's yeah, not easy.
So Johanna, you talked about regional resilience, and I was thinking. So we come from very varied backgrounds, and we are not all into the strategy work that we need to do in this project. But there's also these action plans connected to the strategies, but the strategies are sort of understanding, so what possibilities is there out there? What can we do? What should we do? Looking at analysis through our stakeholder mapping with which one should we talk with? Who are we talking to now? And how can we talk to them? Service with some gaps in, like, where are we strong? Where are we not strong? What could we do to develop? And I think we all are here because we have issues with our hub, that because of the rural areas and the struggles and the challenges connected to that, we are in this project. We want to work on it. So that's where the strategy comes in, sort of. And rural resilience and regional resilience is sort of had the same, they're very connected. So I really like the list you have there. I think we could go further with that one. And just to make everybody see that, I think we could work with that also further on to understand, like, where are we strong? Where are we not strong? Is this a possibility? And we have touched upon this in a lot of workshops, but I think within the strategies and the action plans, we're going to make those into concrete actions, like, okay, so what should we do and how and maybe when? So just to make it anchored and understand what we will do in the following time now with the eco-innovation system. But and I think we should bring that column with to further sessions. Yeah, and also the system boundaries is really important for us to also work with, because we are going to do a visualization. Each and every hub will do a visualization to understand, okay, so I'm strong here, but I'm not strong here, but we have these actors, we need to connect them. How do we connect to them? And those examples you told us, they were sort of, they have understand, like what you were saying, were they had these and these and these factors. What can we do with that? Okay, we add this part in from the regional system, innovation system, or the actors around us, and then we can facilitate and make a change. And I think that's what it's all about. So that's why we work and have this overview, like the eco-innovation system is. It's not just theory, it's understanding how to move forward from where we are now.
Yes, exactly. I think that's a very good conclusion on, like, how you get started with this, like really going from your own situation and trying to map up what you got, who are you working with, and like starting from the bottom up in that way. I think it's really interesting and more concrete.
Yeah, and you also talked about just that first of all, you need to know yourself.
Yeah.
And that is what we will do on the workshop on the 21st of November. And we will send out a letter today with more information, just all the agenda, but also who we would like you to include. And I know it's a little bit of a short time, but I think you have a save the date before. But I will also give you a time slot. If you can't include everybody all the time, there is a time slot, but we really need their participations. But there will be more text in the invitation and the letter. But that workshop is sort of communication. It is not sort of, it is around communication. And we will work with hub identity and the value proposition. And I believe that is a little bit of what you talked about, Johanna. Get to know your own first before you know how to present yourself and how to talk to them and how to connect around what areas and focus areas and values can you connect around with the regional innovation system. So we will start with that. And we have done a lot of work before in different events, like the hub identity in June with Michael. And we have the tool storytelling that we will work use as well. And we have the service and the stakeholder mappings and so on. Okay, so now I've talked a lot. I really would like to invite you all again into the discussion. Arne, do you have any thoughts about how this connects to your hub, or any other thoughts?
I did have a thought that came up during the measurement aspect of things. And this also comes back to the very first slide that you've shown us, Johanna, and thank you very much for this insightful presentation, by the way. You've shown us, I believe it was a network analysis between the different kinds of actors. And this is often done on a very quantitative level. It basically showcases the number of interactions between each one of these actors. But you've also said, rightfully so, that the innovation ecosystem, it's a combination of actors and factors. And I believe that it's very important to also say that these factors include culture and regional identity. It's not only about the quantitative side of things, but also about the quality of our interaction. And I sometimes find that very difficult to measure. So I was kind of wondering how you would approach that. It's not very
that's
not very feasible,
great.
but it's sometimes I'm asking myself that when I'm seeing these network analysis things.
Yeah, that's a great point you're making. And also, as you said, like, the system is not isolated. It would always be influences from culture, norms, politics, like the world happening around it, right? So but exactly as you said, it's mostly about quantitative measurements, because that is easier to measure, right? And especially like in regards to, like, economics is what we've got, and I think that's a huge challenge in a way. And I also seen that with the companies that I've talked to who get support by them, by these actors, but then maybe they have like a business model that then, for example, employs immigrants or people that need to practice working. And then, like, how do you measure that? How do you measure that your regional, I don't know, park is used more and people are healthier? How do you measure those things? And that's super hard. But also, as you say, like, the quality of the activities that we're doing. I think that also you should not, I mean, there's also a risk that you're doing too much, in the sense of, like, having too much network, so people don't think it's a point, or like you're meeting the same people around and around, and you're kind of diluting your legitimacy in the sense. So yes, of course, that's a really fine balance, I guess, and I have no answers. But yes, but I also wanted to connect to what you said before about, like, challenge-based learning is also really cool concept that many of my colleagues work with. So I don't know, maybe you can put some students on this and we'll see. They're creative.
That would be very interesting, to be honest. But that is a question that I had, and this also relates to resilience, I guess. How do you measure that, really? It's because we're talking about strategy development, and of course it's very important to come up with such strategies. But in order to have this strategic element to it, you would have to have a good clue of what your resilience is in the first place, and sometimes that's not very easy to put into concrete terms.
Yes, exactly. And I think I'm starting to, like, see this more and more as a kind of a fault in the whole system a little bit. Like, we're talking so much about different strategies, environmental strategies, resilience, or but then we measure it in economics, and that is not, like, relatable. So we have to figure out a better way of doing that, measuring our impact, but also, as you said, resilience, efforts. That's a challenge, but it's also it's cool to hear that you are on the same page as me in this, and these are all like questions that I'm thinking a lot about also.
And also what Alistair is thinking a lot about in this project.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we will move a little bit further on that, because we are looking at how to measure if we are more multi-helix, where all that comes in, sort of.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll see where it ends. Hopefully in some good place. Yes.
Ebba, I just sent you an letter about the SDGs, but I would like you just to send out not a request, but I would also be very much like to have a student working with what we were just talking about, measuring value. That this, for me, it's the concrete with the Marine Recycling Center, the value we give up there for people working with there, and what it gives to the society, and including school in this, and the sustainable and the circular economy, or what do we do what value do we bring to the society, and how do we measure, or how can we portray that in a sensible way for politicians. So if maybe it's more for Högskolan Väst, but
but we have actually a new collaboration, so we will have like a lot of research interns.
Yes.
Research interns by the whole spring semester. So they will start like in the end, like I think from 19th of January to like the 5th of June. So it will be like the long time. So I think that could be a very good. I was actually going to mention it next week and send out. So I think that could be very good. So they will basically put like 20 hours in a week. So it will be a half time. So 15 points, university points. I'm not sure what you.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah.
Could they also work with France, or? Yeah,
they can do, and also because the major of like the parts, I think it's like 80% is like international students from everywhere basically. So it's important that it can be in English, and series in English, so would be good. But it could also be like students from Germany or France and Denmark and everywhere basically as well. So I think that could be a really good opportunity, because then they can do like the intern, because it's like a half-time internship. But it's good that they have like what's the research internships is compared to an ordinary internship is they need to have like some researching questions basically and subjects. So I think that could be a very good fit, and have a few students that can work with it together, and then you can have like the meetings and stuff with them together, and you don't need to have it separately basically.
Okay, good.
So I think that could
be, if you're interested.
But I'm going to send out some information on Monday as well. But I think what you mentioned, Charlotte, will be a good fit.
Okay.
So good. I can send more information about that, because I think they're from 3 different programs. One is more focusing on sustainable development, and one is more on digitalization in organizations, and also one is like more the political way, like political studies. So then you can also have like 3 students that are from all the 3, or if you want to have like different views.
Okay,
I think that could be perfect.
Yeah. Arne?
No, this is my hand now. Well, I just wanted to say that I also find this very interesting, and I believe I've also mentioned this a couple of times already, that our working relationship with the political entities in our region had been sometimes a bit difficult due to the fact that you can't really put a price tag on innovation. And they always looked at our working activities in terms of, well, considering we are a entrepreneurship service, a startup service, how many businesses have you got started up? But it's much more than that. It's about creating mindsets. It's about the facilitation of capabilities. Well, it's basically creating an eco-innovation system, and they always had this view in terms of, well, you have started up this many companies, initiatives, and whatnot, and now I've heard from Guillaume that their municipality is funding social entrepreneurship activities, and they don't see this immediate return. They are putting money into this, even though it's costing and costing, and they are not getting this immediate return, this economic return, and they are still keeping it up. They are still supporting it. So this is something that I find very interesting. How do you measure that in the first place? And also, how do you get intermediaries and especially political entities to get this idea that it's not always about this immediate return?
So
Yeah,
it's a wide interest in the whole group, almost. Yeah. Good. Very good. So, anybody? I'll just share the last slide, which I spoke a lot about already, but just to. There you go. Super slow. So, yeah, so going forward, again, Johanna, thank you very much. Interesting, and we usually do this, like, especially if it's a little bit hard topic, like I believe this one is, that we have like an introduction, presentation, and talk, and then we do some workshops and some activities, and then we have some best practices, things that have happened before or during the project to show the concrete examples that come out of it, or best examples, and then will hopefully end up in a strategy and an action plan. And I was saying these are sort of big topics, so we need to eat it in smaller chunks. And I believe we have done that with, as I was saying, the stakeholder mapping, the service, the hub identity, the tool with storytelling, and the workshop on the 21st of November. I would like you to include and invite people who have some kind of ownership in your governance, like in the future, and what your hub is expected to do. So some of your key stakeholders or key actors that are important for your governance. And so we will work with external communication and visibility. And then in workshop, in January or February, the date is not yet set, I think. We will have a workshop where we include, I think, probably one of your tutors or professors, Johanna, at the university. Probably, maybe. And we will then work on a visualization of each hub's eco-innovation system, and we will start with the action plans and strategy elements and put them sort of in the context. And I will give you more information further on, but that is what's coming up. Emma, Michael, I'm not sure if you want to mention something else coming up, maybe.
There are always things coming up, but have a look at our webpage if you want to see what's on the way. I think it's updated this week with a lot of the events coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Charlotte, for moderating, and Johanna as well. Pretty much sure we will stay in touch now when we dig deeper into this topic. And yeah, like Michael said, you can find all the events on the website, and also if you read a newsletter, you can keep updated there as well. But yeah, always a lot of nice things going on, so that's great. Yeah.
A lot of nice discussion today as well. And I wish you an awesome Friday and a great weekend, and have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice
Thank
day,
you.
everyone.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.